Today, I stand in the Garden of Gethsemane, a very profound place. Scripture tells us that Jesus himself came to this garden. It was after the Last Supper with his disciples, and as he was on his way to Jerusalem to ultimately die for you and me to be crucified. He knew that he needed to come and pray. He needed time alone with the Father because the weight of his call was on him. He knew it was time for the Father to lay on him the iniquity of us all. Here in this garden, Jesus agonized. He was suffering so much so. He had so much despair and sorrow. He said it was to the point of death. He could barely physically handle the sorrow and the despair that he felt. It was here that Jesus prayed, "Father, take this cup of suffering away from me." He prayed that 3 times. It's here in this garden that we see the humanity of Jesus. He was God in the flesh, but he's also like you and me. How many times have you and I prayed the same thing? Father, take this cup of suffering away from us. How many times have we questioned God's plan and purpose for our pain? How many times have we suffered from the storms that come into our life and we question everything? In this garden, we see the humanity of Jesus, but in this garden, we see a victory. We see a victory in Jesus here. Scripture tells us that he prayed 3 times, "Father, take this cup of suffering away." And it's the 3rd time in that same breath, he says, "But not my will, but your will be done." And Scripture says, at last, he stood up again. I don't know what you're going through. I don't know what questions you have. I don't know what suffering and despair you're going through. But take heart, friend. Scripture tells us that we are more than conquerors through him who loved us. Who is that? That's Jesus. Jesus conquered here in this garden. He conquered death, hell, and the grave on the cross for you and for me, so that whatever comes our way, and things will come our way, but whatever does, we can stand up again. Look to Jesus, friend. Look to Jesus, the author and the finisher of your faith.